Hey guys! Alright, so today I wanted to rank all the Fall Out Boy albums because I don't have any ideas for videos and I really want to make something. I'm a big fan of Fall Out Boy and people rank stuff all the time, so why shouldn't I do it, right? As for Fall Out Boy in themselves, I think they're a brilliant band, you know. I've loved them for years, their music, I love the band members, all of it. My favourite member's Pete Wentz, inevitably. But yeah, coming up to some of the most sort of unsure points in my life, I've had their music. Coming back from some of the lower points, I've had their music, you know. Even now, searching for like jobs and things, it's a big struggle in the UK, believe it or not. But I have Fall Out Boy music to help me through it, you know. And I feel like I really owe a lot to them, and sort of feel like I can show my appreciation for the albums as well as critique how I'm ranking them through this video. So that being said, let's get on to the number 8 spot. Okay, so in the number 8 spot, I'm going to put American Beauty, American Psycho. Not because it's a bad album, of course. I don't think any of the albums are particularly bad. But American Beauty, American Psycho, mostly because of Centuries and Immortals, feels really generic, right? Like when it came out, obviously it came out shortly after Big Hero 6 was released, which is what Immortals was written for. And I can't get my diamond to stay up, it'll just hang low. Which is what Immortals was written for. It went everywhere because Big Hero 6 was a very big movie and people recognised the song from that. Centuries was a similar case where, because it was popular off the album, people put it in everything. Like they'd do it in music videos, anime music videos, they'd put it in college show reels, lecturers would use it in like welcome videos in schools or job safety, a lot of things, ads. So they just sort of took over, and because they took over, a lot of the other songs from the album, even though they're not bad songs by any means, like Irresistible for example, because they had that similar sound, people just sort of lumped them together and it brought the whole album down. So I'm sorry ABAP, but you're in last place. Alright, now on to the number 7 spot. The number 7 spot is actually going to be Folie à Deux, because again, I feel like that's no surprise because Folie à Deux is a very sort of mixed opinion album. But other than songs like I Don't Care and America's Sweethearts, which are very good songs, the whole album just sort of merges together like it's one thing. If you ask me, I'm a pretty big not the biggest Fall Out Boy fan, I admit, there's fans bigger than me, but I'm a pretty big fan. If you ask me to name a distinctive song from the album, I couldn't do it, apart from maybe Disloyal Order of Water Buffaloes. But excluding that, I Don't Care, America's Sweethearts, I probably wouldn't be able to name a distinctive song and put the rhythm to it, right? Because we all know the song titles, like $20 Nosebleed, She's My Winona and all that. But it sort of just merges together like one long composition, like Echoes by Pink Floyd. Oh no, not Echoes. The Wall by Pink Floyd, sorry. Which is a good album, but that's good because it's Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is sort of known for having those long composition pieces rather than individual songs on an album. In Fall Out Boy's case, obviously they don't do that, and it feels a bit out of place, right? So Folie à Deux is going in 7th. Now onto the number 6 spot, which I've done. It's Mania. Now again, it's no surprise Mania is this low because I'm pretty sure it still is their most disliked album. But I quite like Mania, which people can have a go at me for, but I don't really care. I quite like Mania. I think Mania is a good sort of an original take on the same band, if that makes sense. Songs like Hold Me Tight or Don't and Wilson, Expensive Mistakes, that Church as well, that's the real ones. They're all good songs on their own. The thing about Mania that brings it down are 3 things. One is the opening track, Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea. It is way too hard for an opener, right? Way too hard, like on the ears, on the mind, processing the noises that are in the song. So it deters people listening to it. 2 is that it's very, very different compared to Fall Out Boy's other stuff. Again, if you listen to that sort of thing in general, you wouldn't mind it. But the thing is, because it's Fall Out Boy, fans of Fall Out Boy, it's a lot different. And as a result, a lot of people are deterred by it, right? I saw a comparison, I saw a comparison once saying the like optimal Fall Out Boy album for each type of person. It said people who wish Panic at the Disco had another album listen to Mania, which I think sort of makes sense because it has that similar sort of new Panic sound, or Girls Boys type Too Weird to Live sound, let's say. Not necessarily new Panic, because that was a bit more like steep spike downfall sort of thing, which I'll never get over. I'll never forgive them for that. Pray for the Wicked and Viva Las Vengeance. But that's not the point. The point is, for Fall Out Boy, the sound of the album was really different, which of course drove some people away. Not me, I liked it, but a lot of people. And the third problem is, there is no third problem. I was making it up. I was gaslighting you. Ha! That aside, I'm not sure why I did that, but that aside, we're on to the next spot, which I believe is number 5. That's Monster in there. I believe it's number 5. So the next spot, that's going to be From Under the Cork Tree, which is going to definitely be controversial in my ranking. But I feel like Cork Tree had the same issue that Folie à Dos did, but not to that much of an extent, right? It had much more recognisable songs than Folie. Of course, there's Dance Dance to Sugar We're Going Down, obviously. There's Lawyer Made Us Change the Name, Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner, Champagne for My Real Friends, Real Pain for My Fake Friends. Right, but other than that, there'd be these intervals where it just sort of feels like a big composition between the two. And some people, good, obviously. But it's just not for me. I prefer the sort of infinity on high sort of sounds to them. So it's good, but it's just not for me. It was sort of like the build-up point, if that makes sense. Now we're getting into the higher rankings. At point 4, we have Take This to Your Grave, right? Take This to Your Grave, first album, and for any band's first album, it's inevitably going to have flaws, right? The first album of any band, any musician has flaws. It's inevitable, yeah? But considering it's a first album, it's a good first album. Like, we've got Dead on Arrival, we got Where Is Your Boy and all that, and for what they're trying to capture, it's perfect for starting a band, right? When at the point of its release, right, so 2001, 2002, that sort of area, if you're trying to find like a new, if you were trying to find like a new teen band, Fall Out Boy would have probably won you over with songs like Where Is Your Boy, right? And Dead on Arrival as well. Had that sort of Blink 182, but not Blink 182 sort of sound, right? So you sort of like leaned over, became more modern with it, while also liking what you like. And I think that's really good. I think it's a very solid first album. Of course, comparing it to newer trends in music and all that, it probably wouldn't hold up. But it did, and I think it's solid for that, which is a great deal of respect. That's why it's so high on the list. Also, of course, Where Is Your Boy is a brilliant song. Very generic, I know, but off the first album, it is a brilliant song. I listen to it frequently, and it's just, it's good. It stands out, you know? Okay, now we're in the top 3 zone, yeah? We're getting in with that high shit, yeah? So at 3rd place on this, I'm going to put Save Rock and Roll, alright? Save Rock and Roll is same thing. Let's Take This to Your Grave, okay? But what Save Rock and Roll did that Take This to Your Grave didn't is it started, and effectively did it as well, started a new direction in Fall Out Boy, right? They gone on hiatus, took a break from making music for a minute. That was a weird ass noise. But they took a break from making music, yeah? And now they're coming back with a new direction, which keeps the same, it incorporates elements of the old stuff, but they're coming through new. So what do? They make Save Rock and Roll. They open with The Phoenix, which is a brilliant kick-ass opener to an album. And then obviously they have My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark, which has the Centuries problem where it was sort of used everywhere. But the difference between that and Centuries is Centuries got repetitive after a while. Songs Know What You Did in the Dark became a sort of anthem for Fall Out Boy, if that makes sense. It became a song that when you hear the bow 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 at the start anywhere, if you know the band, if you know the song, you get hype. Yeah, it's like Mr. Brightside for the Killers. It's like Chop Suey for System of a Down. It's it's iconic, and that's what makes it so great, right? And the album consecutively until about halfway through when it starts getting a bit subpar. But other than that, it was a brilliant comeback for Fall Out Boy's hiatus, and it built itself on the New Direction sound and created a foundation for the newer albums to be built on. Obviously, which didn't work out too well considering the reputation that the two albums after that have, but it did build the foundation. The foundation was there, and it's just a good album for those reasons, but not as good as the next two, which I'm going to say. Right, now we're on number 2, okay? Number 2, we're going to have Love from the Other... I'm joking, we're having Infinity on High, all right? I'm sorry that Infinity on High is not number 1, but Infinity on High is the most popular Fall Out Boy album, if memory serves me correct, and for a good reason as well. It is, I would say it is some of, if not their best work to date, right? Thanks for the Memories, Ginafs, you know, Don't You Know Who I Think This Am, it's not, This Ain't a Scene, it's an arms race, blah. Oh, I'm getting word vomited, talking the track list because of how good it is, right? But Infinity on High, it's all the way throughout, it maintains this quality, right? This good quality of music. You can tell the songs apart from each other. They're all distinctive, right? Like, it's easy to find a favourite off the album because of how the songs sound. My favourite is Don't You Know Who I Think I Am, right? It's just... What the hell is that? My desk is falling apart. I could have wood secretions. But yeah, it's a solid album. Actually, no, it's not a solid album. It's a good album. It's a really good album, a great album. Because everything's distinctive, you can find favourites off the album. Even if you don't like Fall Out Boy, you'll probably still you'll be able to tell which one you like more than others off the album Infinity on High. And that's probably why it's so well liked, because it is, anyone can listen to it, anyone can love it, and lots of people got into the discography from that. Which honestly, fair enough, you know, I don't blame them. And finally, the number 1 spot, So Much for Stardust, right? I would be Infinity on High, but okay, last Christmas, yeah, I'm up there opening gifts which I haven't got. I've been bought the album, I've been bought So Much for Stardust. I take out my disc player. Until then, I thought it was Fall Out Boy's new album. It'll probably have, of course they've been saying everything about it, it'll probably have more similarities to Mania or Save Rock and Roll, right? Save Rock and Roll more specifically. That's what I thought when they said it would have an older sound to it. I thought that's what they'd be doing, because they're incorporating a new sound with their old sound and the same sort of thing. I didn't think I'd listen to it much, right? But first track, Love from the Other Side. Build up going in, then straight into the guitar, hits hard chorus with the echo in the background and all that. It was like if I closed my eyes while listening to the album, I would feel like I was on like a falling plane or something, right? Scary, yes, but also pretty exciting at the same time. Right, falling plane, roller coaster, whatever. It don't really matter. It was just a huge like shock compared to what I was expecting, and a good shock as well, because I then thought it was absolutely like brilliant. I thought they said what they were going to do and they did it, right? And they did it well as well. I've realised there's a pattern in bands like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, sort of thing, where the first 3 albums released are good consecutive. Then the 4th one gets mixed reactions. The 5th one is like the revival, where everyone's like, yeah, they're back and all that. And then the ones following that are either bad or just sort of generic, like Panic at the Disco, Pray for the Wicked, and Viva Las Vengeance. My Chemical Romance don't have that problem, but they did have the controversy problem on their 4th album, where it's sort of like, is this my chem? It sounds a bit different to me, even though Danger Days is a good album, you know. But yeah, it was like a big comeback point, and it got me excited, you know. It got me happy for the music. I felt like it was a new exciting sound, which I hadn't heard for a while, so I was like refreshed in it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I just enjoyed it. It's how I feel like if that was incorporating the elements of the new sound from, like, say, rock and roll sort of thing, but keeping the hard sort of emo pop, pop punk sort of feel of the earlier albums, they did it, and they did it well, you know. I'm excited to see when or if Fall Out Boy make a new album, assuming they're doing it with the same sort of sound as So Much for Stardust. I'm excited for the album. Like, I want to listen to it more now, more than I already did. Yeah, and it's brilliant. It's what I want. It's what I want to hear in an album. So that's my album ranking for Fall Out Boy, right? Fall Out Boy are one of my favourite bands. Alright. I love them. I've loved them for years. My hair's annoying me. I've loved them for years. Still do love them. I love seeing interviews, seeing them on camera, seeing them in music, you know. I just think they're brilliant. And I wanted to share my opinions with everybody, because I feel like my opinions are pretty far from, like, the norm. They're pretty far from what people would usually have opinions on them, I feel. And because of that, it's different, you know. It's a different thing. It's something to be curious about. I'm curious to see how people react to it. People might be curious to see how I rank the albums and all that. And I'm excited to see what happens when I put the video out. Either way, yeah, that's it. I'll see you for my next video I make, and that's it. Bye.